Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushaq, choose what really matters.
US President Joe Biden was supposed to be in Chicago today, but he changed his plans at the last minute, deciding to stay back at the White House. Why? Because America is on the brink of a dual financial crisis, a government shutdown and a credit default. Both could spell disaster, not just for America, but the world economy. And so Joe Biden has cleared his schedule. He will be holding talks with fellow Democrats to push his legislative agenda. First, let me give you some background. The Biden administration has made two proposals. Number one, a funding bill. This includes $1.2 trillion in infrastructure and $3.5 trillion in social spending. America's fiscal calendar runs from the 1st of October to the 30th of September. If a budget is not passed in time, the US government will not have money to run the country. It's called a government shutdown. Number two, raising the debt ceiling. In America, Congress decides the level of national debt. Right now, it stands at $28.4 trillion. But Joe Biden wants to borrow more. If not, America will not be able to pay interest on its loans. The Treasury will run out of cash around the 18th of October, to be precise. So what is the president's strategy looking like? The Democrats first tried to hit two birds with one stone, basically pass both these proposals with one vote, the spending bills and the debt ceiling. This did not work. The Senate Republicans blocked the vote. They want both issues to be tackled separately. So what happens now? The Democrats are planning a standalone vote on the debt ceiling. They have a slim majority in the Senate, so they can pass this bill even without Republican support. But what about the funding bill then? This is where Joe Biden has a tough job. The infrastructure bill is a bipartisan proposal. It should be passed easily, but the social spending plan is much more complicated. Republicans are not on board, which means Joe Biden needs the support of every single Democratic senator. Two of them are holding out, Senators Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. They say the plan is too lavish. Joe Biden, in fact, hosted both senators at the White House on Tuesday, but there are no indications of a breakthrough. So what happens if there is no consensus? Can the infrastructure bill be passed alone? Well, that's the other problem. Progressive Democrats are being stubborn. They say pass both or pass none. Neither side is giving up, and as a result, America is facing a full-blown crisis. A government shutdown and a credit default are two separate things, but their impact can be similar. Let's take them one by one. A shutdown is exactly what it sounds like. All non-essential sectors will close. That means no museums, no national parks, no tax services. Roughly 3 in 5 workers could be furloughed. Only a few services will continue, like air traffic control, border protection, law enforcement, basically the bare minimum. What happens if there is a credit default? And now this is tricky. America has seen government shutdowns earlier, but it has never defaulted on loans, not even once. So this is uncharted territory. Nobody knows what the exact impact would be. Here's what the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, says.
It is imperative that Congress address the debt limit. If not, our current estimate is that Treasury will likely exhaust its extraordinary measures by October 18th. At that point, we expect Treasury would be left with very limited resources that would be depleted quickly. America would default for the first time in history. The full faith and credit of the United States would be impaired, and our country would likely face a financial crisis and economic recession as a result.
A pretty grim picture. Millions of Americans would lose Social Security and Medicare. U.S. soldiers may not get their paychecks. Food assistance will stop. Pension payments would lapse. Nearly 6 million Americans could lose their jobs. This is an unprecedented crisis. The world's largest economy is days away from defaulting on its loans. And for Joe Biden, it is a global embarrassment. Remember, he was supposed to be the stable president? Yet, on his watch, America is facing financial ruin. So where does this leave Joe Biden's global agenda? He is pitching an alternative to China's Belt and Road. We are talking about trillions of dollars. How will a fiscally conservative America bankroll this project? Well, the simple answer is they cannot. China's political system gives it an edge over America. Xi Jinping does not care about consensus. He is the consensus in China. Joe Biden, on the other hand, faces a partisan battle. Let me give you an example here. Republicans do support raising the debt ceiling. The problem is they don't want to take responsibility for it. Because midterm elections are due next year, Republicans don't want to be seen as expanding the national debt. Party politics is the life of every democracy. But if Joe Biden wants to compete with China, he will have to build bipartisan consensus. After all, that is what Joe Biden promised on the campaign trail. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.
Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushaq, choose what really matters.